4 years ago, a new era began for Nigeria's oil and gas industry. Born from the landmark Petroleum Industry Act, the Nigerian Upstream Petroleum Regulatory Commission, NUPRC, emerged with a bold vision to restore transparency, attract investment, and position Nigeria as Africa's leading energy regulator.
PIA itself, brought stability to the regulatory framework, the oil and gas sector, particularly, as it relates to the upstream sector. And before then, we had no investment for almost 10 years, maybe close to 10 years, because there was no stable regulatory framework. But since, PIA was passed with the establishment of NUPRC, there seemed to be stability, in the sector.
The Petroleum Industry Act of 2021 was a reset. For decades, Nigeria's upstream operations were plagued by opacity and inefficiency. The NUPRC inherited those legacy challenges and went straight to work.
The first thing we did was to define a vision, that is, lay clearly our vision and mission, which have really guided us, and of course defining what I call the regulatory direction. We clearly defined in alignment with the statutory mandate under the Petroleum Industry Act. Don't forget that the Act clearly provides for us to be the technical and commercial regulator of the industry, and that goes with the fact that we should seek to grow oil and gas reserve, and of course to grow the daily production, seek to implement the domestic crude oil obligation with the intent that will help in guaranteeing the domestic supply security. The Act also provides that we should conduct a licensing round, and that is a way for us to grow the reserve of the daily production.
That credibility sparked one of the fastest regulatory turnarounds in Africa, and a record surge in oil rigs, investments, and confidence. In just 4 years, Nigeria's rig count has surged by more than 762%, reaching 69 rigs with an average of 40 to 50 actively operational. This growth signals a strong resurgence in upstream activity and renewed investor confidence in the sector.
Investors all over the world will now know that we have a stable regulatory institution that is doing the job that it is meant to do, in line with global best, practice sector. The rig count in the country was just about maybe 14, but today we're approaching 50. It's projected that, it will surpass, 50, by the end of the year. That shows significant progress, being made in the upstream sector.
For decades, hundreds of oil fields sat idle, but under the PIA, the NUPRC introduced a simple rule: drill or drop.
Our own strategy as department, E&AM, that is Exploration and Economic Management, is to grow oil and gas reserves by unlocking frontier and unexplored basins. We also try and enforce efficient acreage utilization. Also conduct regular and periodic transparent bid rounds. We also going forward, we also fast track field development to ensure that each field awarded to an awardee, these fields are brought for production as early as possible.
The result? New entrants, fresh energy, and a wave of investments, including 79 new field development plans worth nearly $40 billion. Once upon a time, licensing rounds were shrouded in secrecy. Today, Nigeria's bid rounds are entirely digital and globally applauded for transparency.
in terms of high impact achievement, very key is the forward-looking regulations that the Commission has developed as a pioneer management. So for us, that is a solid foundation that I believe incoming other that is subsequent management could actually sustain. I mean, because as a pioneer management, what is key is for us to set a very, very strong foundation, for regulatory stability. So, like I said, we define our regulatory direction, which is governed by regulations that are forward-looking and were transparently developed in conjunction with the stakeholders and are available easily for prospective potential investors to leverage. So the fact that they are available, the fact that the regulations were done in conjunction with stakeholders, and it speaks to the commitment to transparency as a regulator.
Transparency became the new oil, and with it came record revenues, surpassing targets by 84% in 2024 alone. In the era of energy transition, gas is Nigeria's bridge fuel, and the NUPRC is the architect of that bridge. Through the Nigerian Gas Flare Commercialization Program, NGFCP, $2.5 billion in potential investments are being unlocked, transforming wasted gas into opportunity. As international oil companies restructure their portfolios, NUPRC oversaw landmark divestments worth billions, ensuring smooth transitions and Nigerian ownership.
Indigenous producers have made Nigerians proud. Renaissance has already increased over 60,000 barrels a day, to the level of production that Shell was by the time they took over. Seplat too has added maybe about 40,000 barrels a day, to the volumes that they, took over from ExxonMobil. For those companies, they are not indigenous companies, but they have a better way of dealing with our local, communities. And so we believe that the divestment wasn't, a problem at all. It's actually a blessing. It has now challenged our local companies to, play in a bigger scale.
Through rigorous oversight, NUPRC preserved both national interest and investor confidence. Regulations are only as strong as the people behind them. At the heart of NUPRC's transformation lies a motivated, future-ready workforce.
The architects of the PIA saw it differently, that in order to enhance operations of the PIA, a kind of challenge was set. The PIA provided that the NUPRC as an organization should now take their allocation from the 4% cost of collection. This is a very crafty and wise development in the sense that architects of the PIA decided to give a challenge, to pose a challenge on the Commission. The focus and the focal point is that we want to advance revenue performance in the country as a nation. So if you want to do that, you have to energize and sensitize and enable the staff to perform optimally.
We have commensurate value from the staff as part of our value proposition. So that's why you see that year in, year out, we are surpassing our targets because we have a workforce that is well motivated, well rewarded, and there's this correlation which is almost, perfect. The correlation between risk and reward. And we've always encouraged staff to take the risk required to keep positioning us as the commission of first choice, regulator of first choice. And in return, can expect that that welfare, that package, that compensation that makes us top-notch, an employer of choice, would always be sustained.
For decades, all communities bore the cost of extraction with little benefit. The PIA changed that, and NUPRC made it real.
We have equally diligently implemented the post-community provisions of the Petroleum Industry Act, like I said, which speaks to the social inclusiveness, and we've been able to implement this end-to-end in a digitized manner.
I would say that they've done well. I think they've utilized the fund, the 3% OPES given to them, and to execute these projects in line with the PIA. That we supervise and oversee and ensure we enforce the provision of the Act.
With 358 billion naira remitted into host community trusts, peace is returning and prosperity is taking root.
This project now, I think, in a way, have equally make an impact or create an opportunity for employment. And I saw that I don't bridge a gap between unemployed. I think with this, the youth restiveness in our community will somehow be reduced because those that are unemployed will be employed.
NUPRC's new geophysical surveys have redefined exploration potential, reprocessing over 45,000 kilometers of seismic data to produce sharper, clearer images of Nigeria's petroleum systems.
The mechanism as we adopt is what we conduct regular accurate performance reviews against agreed KPIs, such as seismic acquisition, such as well re-entry, such as well drilling, and FDP execution. We also use templates for tracking work programs, milestones, concessions, rentals payment, and other regulatory obligations. This, of course, will ensure that oil blocks are effectively tracked, evaluated, and managed in line with the Accurate Management Regulation 2024, and also Drilling and Production Regulation 2024. With these regulations, of course, every block is now subject to continuous evaluation against clear performance benchmarks to ensure that Nigeria maximizes value from its hydrocarbon resources.
Beyond Nigeria's borders, NUPRC is uniting Africa's regulators under one voice through the African Petroleum Regulators Forum, AfriPEF.
In our collective journey to strengthen Africa's energy regulatory community and to shape the future of our continent's petroleum industry with vision and unity, we are establishing the functional pillars that will drive AfriPEF forward, ensuring that our shared vision is translated into measurable results with defined timelines and accountability. We ensure that AfriPEF remains transparent, accountable, and adaptive to the evolving global energy landscape, building trust among ourselves as regulators, with our stakeholders and global partners.
4 years on, the numbers speak for themselves. 90% reduction in oil theft, 762% rise in rig count, 358 billion naira in community remittances, $39 billion in fresh investments, and a regulator that has become Africa's benchmark for transparency and performance.
The establishment of the NUPRC under the Petroleum Industry Act was a watershed moment for our industry. In just 4 years, the Commission has emerged as a stabilizing force, bringing clarity, transparency, and renewed investor confidence to a sector long burdened by uncertainty. The NUPRC has consistently demonstrated its commitment to excellence and innovation, from digitizing licensing processes to improving crude oil metering systems and conducting transparent bid rounds that welcomed new entrants. The NUPRC's swift field development approvals and proactive engagement have helped unlock new barrels and cubic feet of gas, reinforcing our shared goal of energy security and economic growth.
As the world transitions, Nigeria's upstream sector is not being left behind. It's leading with clarity, collaboration, and courage.
By and large, we are not resting on our oars. We believe there is still very much room for improvement. Like they say, that the largest room is the room for improvement. So we are seeking to very much committed to ensuring efficiency and stability in the regulatory environment in a manner that will, in sum total, help in attraction of investors and make investors to see Nigeria clearly as a stable regulatory environment, transparent regulatory environment for which they should invest in.
The Nigerian Upstream Petroleum Regulatory Commission at 4, piloting regulatory reforms with integrity.